Hi, I'm Sophia Graham.
Hello, I'm Alex Taffy. Welcome to the Neuroqueering Summit.
I wanted to say a little bit about myself. I'm a neuroqueer person, I'd say, and a coach and therapist who works on sex and relationships. I run the Love Uncommon blog and website, and I love working with people individually and in groups to support their mental health and figure out new ways of coping that work with neuroqueer minds. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, Alex Taffy, my pronouns are they, them. Him is okay as well in English. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm also a somatic experience practitioner and certified sex therapist and clinical supervisor. I love working with people, whether it's one-to-one, as a family system, polycules, couples, as well as kind of groups. And I'm a neuroqueer person as well, initially diagnosed with complex PTSD and then later diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And I'm so excited to be collaborating with you, Sophia, because you're brilliant. And I've been really enjoying putting the summit together. So maybe let's tell people why we're here. What are we doing?
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. We created this place initially as a multifaceted personal political experience of coming out summit, but actually it's kind of expanded since that. And whilst we are looking at coming out through a neuroqueer lens, there's so much more here. There's also stuff on creativity, parenting, there's stuff on kink and BDSM and consent-based approaches to living. So and plurality. I think there's quite a lot in the summit that we didn't initially set out for, but we really hope that you'll get something from.
I agree. I feel like we have such an amazing range of both like really recognized and established voices like Dr. Nick Walker and Bear Bergman, as well as kind of more emerging kind of new voices that maybe haven't really entered the conversation on the same scale around neuroqueerness. And I think in a way the conversation has expanded because coming out is such a complex concept, just like neuroqueering is, right? We know that it's not a one-time event. It's really often it unfolds throughout our life, right? And so as we were having conversation, those organic conversations with our amazing guests, creativity came up, parenting came up, kink came up, all of these different ways in which we experience kind of our own lives, both
Mm,
professionally and personally. And we really started the summit because we noticed that although there are a lot of resources generally around some aspect of neurodivergence, there really weren't as many resources when it comes to kind of neuroqueerness and neuroqueering outside of kind of maybe academic scholarship. And academic scholarship is not accessible to everybody for a whole host of reasons. And so we really wanted to center lived experiences while also honoring kind of academic scholarship and knowing and resources. And so I think we're trying to provide something that's useful both to the general public as well as to professionals.
exactly. We really wanted to change that lack of sort of holistic views around neuroqueerness. And so this summit is by and for neuroqueer folks. And our goal is to move beyond pathologizing frameworks around both neurodivergence and queerness, and instead foster a community that honors both, including our agency, our wisdom, and our interconnectedness.
Mhm. Absolutely. Because often we think about neuroqueering almost as an individual experience, but I think
Mm,
it's really a collective experience. And that's why we wanted to bring a range of voices. Sometimes we have one-on-one conversations. We also have roundtable discussions where we're all participating. And throughout the summit, we're really going to touch on all the different things we talked about before, the intersection of neuroqueering and kink. What even is neuroqueering and how has it grown from its initial definition, so to speak, the role of what is masking, what is the role of masking and unmasking. And we're not just talking about autism and ADHD, because we're also aware that often people are using neurodivergence as kind of a shortcut to say autism and ADHD, but we're also talking about plurality, DID, personality disorders, complex PTSD, all those things that can go under the umbrella of neurodivergence. We really try to be as inclusive as possible. We'll be discussing issues around identity, how do we get in touch with the wisdom of our body mind, what happens in terms of like our emotional landscape. around neuroqueering, and also how can we support one another in building networks of care, because it can be really challenging to navigate a neurotypical world, both as queer people and as neurodivergent people. And so we really want to make sure that there's also a sense of community.
And we really wanted these conversations to be accessible. So everything is pre-recorded and captioned and transcribed. Whether you're neuroqueering as a verb, something you do, or exploring a new identity, we invite you to engage with these conversations on your own terms and take what's helpful to you and maybe leave stuff if it's not really helpful in this moment of your journey.
Absolutely. That's why we are trying to bring you so many voices and so many resources, as well as prompts for reflections and so on. We really hope that this summit offers you something that feels validating, practical, applicable, and above all, grounded in in a neurodivergent attuned way, and centering disability justice. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing space with us throughout the summit.
And welcome to our Neuro Summit.